So far in the guide we were talking about how you can find a place to stay for free online. Now in the next couple of lessons I will go and discuss how you can find a place to stay without using the internet. So by, for example, asking strangers on the street, by sleeping in some weird places. It will become maybe a bit crazy. You will hear maybe ideas you never heard before. They work though, like I will actually give you information that actually worked for me. So now in this first lesson of the sector, we'll talk about how you can find a place to stay in public places. So what do I mean by public places? These are buildings that are open to the public and that are most likely open all the time. So we're talking about train stations, bus stations, or for example airports. Also fire stations, police stations, hospitals. And I'm gonna go and talk a little bit about each of the ones I was just mentioning. First of all, train stations. And what you have to know now is that in every city, it's really different if the train station is open at night or not. It happens also sometimes that in stations you can only sit while you're not allowed to lay down. Maybe there's security guards to take care of you. Maybe there are no security guards. Or it might just be completely shut down. And I've been before like to very small cities where train stations were open at night, where I had an amazing sleep. I was the only one basically at the train station. And I've been to big cities where the train station was closed or where I had a bad sleep. So you never really know what to expect. My personal tip is either you stay in the waiting room with the other people and you kind of sit there. It's usually safe if there are also other people in the train station, but if you sit down there in the waiting room, it probably will be a very bad sleep. That's kind of like the downside. What you can also choose to do is take a sleeping bag and then lay down in some corner and sleep there. What I found out though is that, well, usually train stations are like this one big room, so you don't really have this hidden corner. But if they're like different floors, maybe you can go to the second floor, third floor, and just try to find like a place that is kind of hidden. Put your sleeping bag there and just sleep. What I can also then highly recommend if you do this, if you sleep somewhere in a hidden place, put a clock for the next day at maybe 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So wake up early because you don't want that people get surprised if they find somebody like in some hidden like corridor. Next up, bus stations. What I have noticed is that usually in really most bus stations you can't really sleep inside a room or something. They're usually closed at night. In some bigger bus stations, what you might find is like a waiting room. The thing about those waiting rooms is that you can't really lay down there usually. It's usually kind of crowded. So the best option if you go to a bus station is just to basically sit down. You probably won't be able to lay down, but sit down in a bus station and just kind of try to fall asleep. It's not a very good option, but if you're freezing, you have no other place to go to the bus station. So if you would need to choose between a train station, bus station and airport, I would totally go for the airport, and I will in the next lesson go really deeply into detail how to sleep in airports. But now we're going to continue with a couple of weird places. So we're going to talk about fire stations. I actually stayed on my travels in maybe 20 different fire stations, and I did it mostly in Portugal. So basically what I did, I went to a fire station, was asking firemen if I can stay there for a night, and usually, at least in Portugal, they allowed me to do it. So maybe you can try it also. If there's a fire station, go there and just ask friendly, hey, I'm a traveler, can I stay here for a night? It might work out, especially in Portugal. I can highly recommend to do this. Then I also got here police stations. I also stayed before in police stations. It actually works quite well, but it depends on the country really. Like in Turkey it went very well, also in Portugal. Again, just like with fire stations, go there and just ask if they can offer you a place to sleep. They might not be able to help you, but what might happen is that they will allow you to sleep in the waiting room. What I did also once, I was actually sleeping once in a prison they had inside the police station, pretty cool place. Also once, what was once happening is that I was sleeping at the home of a police officer. So that's also a pretty cool option. Then I also got the hospitals. What I did before, like I did it 2 times in France, I went to a hospital and just asked if I can sleep there. And then basically they allowed me to sleep in the waiting room. The cool thing about it is that hospitals are usually open all night long, so there's usually always somebody there. So give it a shot. If there's really no other option, go to a hospital. Then we got petrol stations. And again, it's kind of like a crazy place to stay at. But it's something that actually works because they're open all night long. There's probably a worker there who can help you. Maybe like what I did before already on my travels, I slept like on couches they had in there, or different places just on the floor inside the petrol station. Give it a shot. Also a pretty crazy place to stay are clubs. So I'm talking here about those clubs or bars that are open all night long until maybe 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning. What I would usually do is I would go in there, take a seat somewhere in a corner and just basically wait. You can't really sleep in there probably. Maybe you can find a person though where you can stay at. But I mean, really, if you want to just stay in a club, you sit basically what I did before in my life. I was just sitting in a corner and just kind of waiting until the morning is there, and then I would leave at maybe 6 a.m. I don't really recommend to do it, but if there's no other way, let's say it's winter time, you're freezing and there's no way to go into a club and just sit there and you'll make it through the night. If there's any other place I missed to mention now that is open 24/7, feel free to write a comment, let us know about it, and we'll go now to the next lesson about how to sleep in airports.